Let's speak now to Mattew Brodsky. He's a senior fellow at the Security Studies Group. He's joining us on the line. Matthew, thank you for your time. Let's start with your initial reactions to the speech from Mr. Trump. What do you make of it?
Sorry, was that question to me?
Right, Matthew, Ramah Nyang here from Nairobi. Your reactions to the speech coming through from Mr. Trump in the last 10 or so minutes. What do you make of what he said?
I think the speech was absolutely excellent. It's long overdue. It basically confirms the reality. It's akin, essentially, to saying and declaring that the world is round, which shouldn't be a big deal because that is where Israel's capital is. It should not be singled out then more so than any other country that declares where its capital is. Beyond that, I think there needs to be enough people, and especially news organizations, paying attention to the latter half of the speech, where President Trump went out of his way to say that this doesn't prejudice the negotiations for a final status agreement at the end, because the borders can still be worked out. And this is the key issue. If Palestinians and those protesting right now are saying that Israel does not have the right to have West Jerusalem where they have their Knesset, where they've always been, and that what they want is Western Jerusalem, then there's nothing at all to negotiate from the Israeli perspective. That is just a non-starter. Lost in all of this debate is the fact that Jerusalem's borders have changed multiple times throughout the years. And you could be talking about the Old City, which is 0.4 of a mile, or you could be talking about the expanded borders from 1993. The borders can change, and that can happen in negotiations. But if people are protesting the fact that Israel will maintain a presence and its capital in Western Jerusalem, then there's really nothing to talk about.
Matthew, the Palestinians would then counter that by saying, look, we've seen settlements essentially expanding on other sides of the border. The Israelis have been building settlements steadily for years. And this is territory that was recognized and acknowledged in a UN Security Council resolution as something that that was essentially grabbed in a conflict and should not therefore be recognized as part of Israeli territory. I mean, surely the optics here do matter as well, don't they?
The optics is that Palestinians have been, as far as the negotiating party, have been obstructionists. If they want to have a state, then come to the negotiating table and have a discussion on it, and they can do land swaps as they've discussed in previous peace negotiations. They will have a contiguous state if that's what it is that they want to do when they negotiate. But they're not even coming to the table. Their whole plan at the moment is to go through the international courts and to try to sue Israel in some absurd fashion, and to not make the painful decisions that are necessary, which is to recognize that Israel will exist as a Jewish state, and that Jerusalem, or at least part of Jerusalem, will remain Israel's capital. Until they grapple with that mythology, there's nothing from Israel's perspective that they have to discuss at the table. Everything else can be worked out in negotiations.
Mattew Brodsky, Security Studies Group Senior Fellow, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.